Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all sorts of things, zero waste, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste and ways that we can all be activists. If I talk a little bit too fast for you, there's a gear icon right down here or up here depending on where you're watching, where you can hit speed up the video to something that better suits you. And today, I want to show you all of the ways in my house that I have turned trash into treasure through upcycling. I have been a fan of upcycling pretty much my entire life, and that's simply just because that's how I was raised. We did crafts made out of trash in my childhood because it's free, you don't have to go to the store, you throw less stuff away, and especially if you're just messing around, then you're not like at risk of wasting something that costs you a lot of money. And ultimately, those are the benefits of upcycling. You don't have to buy anything, it prevents something new from being used, and you prevent stuff from going to the landfill. Because yes, our landfills are running out of space, and you can learn more in this video. So always think before you throw away. There are so many options that you can do with that item. You can recycle it, you can repurpose it, you can just refuse to buy that item in the first place, reduce what you consume, and of course, upcycle. And if you've never heard the term upcycling before, it is slightly different from reusing. For example, right here, this is a jar, and I'm reusing it for pretty much its intended purpose, and that is to store stuff in. But instead of storing jam, it is now storing pens. Let me just look up the definition because I don't think I'm gonna quite get it right. Reusing discarded objects or materials in such a way as to create a product of higher quality or value than the original. So it's literally taking trash and giving it value. Something that was destined for the landfill is now a piece of decor or a piece of clothing that you can wear or a piece of jewelry or anything in between. So let me show you all of the upcycled things in my home that I have upcycled, and also a few that some friends and businesses have upcycled that I have purchased for myself or was gifted. Let's start in the kitchen. This right here is probably one of my oldest upcycled things in my home. We found this cutting board in the trash when we lived in Japan, and then I painted some herbs on it, so now it is some beautiful kitchen decor. Not only was it prevented from the landfill, I literally found it in the trash. I literally rescued it right from the clutches of the landfill. Been on my wall in several different homes for at least 5 years. Oh my gosh, I just realized my earrings are upcycled. These are one of the things I wanted to talk about. My friend made these out of trash. These little hoops right here, these are from electric toothbrush heads, and they saved them and turned them into earrings. I have a lot of reused jars in our tea and coffee section down here, but again, that's technically reusing, not upcycling. Of course, it's preventing stuff from the landfill, which is important. Today, we're talking about upcycling, so we'll skip that for now. Now, one thing that I think is one of the coolest things that I have upcycled, maybe not coolest, but just like niftiest, is this Parmesan lid. This is from any old container of Parmesan. It fits on your mason jars. We don't regularly buy Parmesan. My dad had purchased it for us when we were staying in his home almost 2 years ago now. And we're like, well, we'd rather use this Parmesan than throw it away. And then once it was done, now we have a lid and we have a perfect dispenser for our nutritional yeast. Before this, I don't really know what we were using for nutritional yeast. We might have just been keeping it in a bag. You know those, what is that brand? Bob's Red Mill of nutritional yeast. We would just shake it out of the bag. But now we get our nutritional yeast at the refill store, upcycled lid, and now we have our own nutritional yeast shaker. This is technically upcycling over here as well, because it is not the intended use of this jar. For plant propagation, of course, I save and reuse just about any jar that I can when I make homemade sauces, when I make whatever homemade, when I have leftovers, but also, especially these like long skinny bottles of like ginger beer and stuff like that, make great plant containers, which are free. Keep it out of the landfill. This guy's finally getting some roots. I got this from a friend. I'm so excited to pot this eventually. We're gonna let her get some more roots though, but for now, she's in this upcycled jar. Yeah, a lot of the stuff in the kitchen is just reused. We reuse plastic bags, we reuse aluminum foil. This is actually technically downcycled, new term. This is scrap paper that we get like from receipts, from mail, from ballots, whatever it might be. We turn it into grocery lists that still end up getting recycled. Like these are still going to be getting disposed of, but we don't have to buy any new paper to make our grocery list. And this stuff gets more life before it ends up in the recycling bin. So this isn't technically upcycling because it's not of higher value than it used to be, and it's still gonna be disposed of, but it's still a great thing to reuse / downcycle. And if you're like, what are all these words? What do all of these mean? Check out this video next. And I think that's all in the kitchen, so let's move on. Just kidding. I usually do have one more right here, and I have one more in the living room usually, but they are in storage right now. Long story short, our critters got fleas. It was September 22nd. No, I'm not even joking. I remember the day. It was a traumatizing day, and I haven't seen my rug since. It's been almost a month of being rugless. My prized possessions. I have made 5 rugs now out of upcycled t-shirts. T-shirts that were destined for the landfill, t-shirts that had holes in them, stains in them. I cut them up, I turn them into yarn, and they make beautiful, heavy-duty rugs that I keep in the kitchen, in the living room. In the past, we have had them in our bedroom and in the laundry room and in our office. I have put them everywhere. They are so fun to make, so cool to have these memories tied up in this rug from these t-shirts that get to stay in my home instead of the landfill and out of the recycling system as well. And they're upcycled and they're free. I love them and I cherish them so much, and I can't wait to have them back in the home, and I really wanted to include them in part of this video. And I mean, they're still gonna be included, but like not actively actively, not presently. So those two pieces were honestly the inspiration for this video. And now I have to film without them. We are keeping them in storage until we are fully flea free. All of my crochet, because we had to wash it on hot and dry it on hot, which is not necessarily good for crochet. And to prevent them from getting potentially any more fleas in them, they are just in storage for now to prevent them from having to be washed multiple times and hopefully not ruin them. Hopefully by the time you're seeing this, they will be back in the kitchen, they will be back in the living room, and we will be flea-free. It's been a long and arduous journey. Let's mosey on. Once again, this is not technically upcycling, it is just reusing, but we have lots of glassware over here. This was a juice bottle that I have collected sea glass in from when we lived in Japan. Another reused jar from Japan with seashells. And the rest of these jars contain cones. I love cones. I love conifers. This one's a cool one, not to start info dumping. This is a deodar cedar, and cedars and firs, their cones are so fragile. They open up like this and then they fall apart. You have to harvest it when it's fully green and then let it dry. So that's why it's in this open jar. It's like Douglas fir. Yep, we got some Douglas firs, whatever. I'm not gonna show you all of my cones. Any jar, peanut butter, jam, pasta sauce, pesto, whatever it is, gets washed, reused, and it houses a cone for my own little herbarium. I know it's not upcycling, but I just want an excuse to show you my cones. But let's go outside for some real upcycling. All right, we got lots out here. Starting with this one, I think this one's one of the coolest ones, was a ceramic KitchenAid stand mixer bowl. One day, Dan was trying to make cookies and the head was up. He accidentally flipped it on, the head was not locked, so it fell down and it cracked the bowl. And I said, oh, that's not food safe anymore, but you know what? It can house my strawberry plant. And then really the rest of this stuff over here, I have found many of these pots in the trash. A lot of them were trash. Don't mind the dead plants. This was a mushroom container, a butter container, a vegan feta container. We've got sour cream. You get the idea. Pretty much any plastic container that I could get my hands on when I was planting some lettuce starts, put some starts in there. It's really that simple. And truly, I don't think I've bought a single, except for the beans. I think we did buy the new pot for the beans because they needed a really big pot. But other than that, the rest of these are things that we have upcycled or things that we found in the trash, which I do deem as upcycling secondhand. It's like secondhand upcycling. Yeah, and even like my box full of gardening stuff is just a regular old cardboard box that we reuse. That one's technically reusing, but you get the idea. Welcome to the bathroom, home of the worst lighting in the home, actually, besides the downstairs hallway. I wanted to show you more of my upcycled earrings. They're really quite all similar in just that they are upcycled toothpaste rings. So this is from another artist. This is an old either beer or wine or soda bottle that they turned into earrings, and like so beautiful. Like you could dress this up and wear this out to like a fancy dinner, and it's made out of trash. Anything else? Maybe this is technically upcycled? I don't know. But I bought these pill organizers secondhand on OfferUp or something, and I use them to store all my body jewelry because I have so many like nose rings, face rings, whatever, that I didn't really have a good spot to store them. So and here they go. I forgot I had rings in here. Quite frankly, I'm not sure this brand exists anymore, High Top Coffee. If they do, go support them, but I think they went out of business. But look at this cute coffee can that I got coffee in a couple years ago, and I'm like, I am not recycling that. So what goes in here is more upcycled things. These are makeup remover pads that I made myself. This was an old pillowcase. This was an old t-shirt. These are so easy to make from scratch. If you know how to sew a straight line, that's the only skill you need is to sew a straight line. And so my upcycled homemade makeup remover pads go in my upcycled coffee container when they're done. These are the used ones. The old ones are stored in a thrifted jar. Another super easy upcycle is just to save all of your old hair ties, old rubber bands that you get on like bundles of asparagus, old twist ties that you get on like a bunch of lettuce, whatever it might be, and use those to organize cords. I have retired hair ties on my straightener and on my hair dryer. These are hair ties that are just way too stretched out to do anything valuable to my hair. So instead of throwing them away, they help me organize my cords. While most of my masterpieces are in the garage, I do have a masterpiece that I just worked on. I just finished it up. It has yet to debut on the channel, and that is my handmade vest. The inside is kind of ugly. Don't look at the inside. And pretend it matches my outfit. Here she is. I love the fall vibes. I love that it matches most of my wardrobe, like except for this shirt. It matches everything else I own because like I just wear a bunch of neutral colors. And honestly, here is partially where we got some of the scraps. This is all made from scraps or thrifted. The brown we had scraps of, flowers, and the checkerboard we found in the trash. I thrifted the tan, the green, and and the Zodiac. I thrifted the inner liner, and I even thrifted the bias tape. I think the only thing I bought new for this entire project was thread. This is the first garment I've ever made. I didn't use a pattern. It was an insane undertaking. I'm so proud of it though. I love how it looks. It is all upcycled and secondhand, prevented stuff from the landfill. We got the brown fabric because Dan made us some curtains. The curtains are also not hanging up because of the fleece. We're kind of a mess right now, but we had extra brown fabric and I'm like, that's a really cute color and texture. I love how textured the vest is too. Part of the curtain lives on over here. This might be my oldest upcycle in the house. That also means that it might not necessarily be the cutest, and it is a little bit not my style anymore. But regardless, this is my oldest upcycle. It has got my wedding bouquet and my garter in here. It's very 2017. We got married in 2017 when I was 18. Insane. And it looks like an 18-year-old made it in 2017. It's giving 2010s. It just has big 2010 energy. Like if you were on Pinterest in 2017, that's probably precisely where I got the inspiration. So she's not necessarily the cutest anymore, but I love her. It's got so much sentimental attachment to it. And of course, you know, I made it myself. One of my first upcycles, one of my oldest upcycles, so I still love her. I think this is one of our more practical upcycles. Like it's actually something that we use often. It is these. And you're like, you didn't buy that new? No. Dan ordered underwear. He loves the brand Booty, which is an eco brand. His underwear came in these heavy duty boxes. It's pretty weird packaging, but we're like, we can't just recycle that. How useful is this? And so now we have all of our cords organized. A USB-C, we've got a USB-A, and then we have a miscellaneous. And then also inside, as I mentioned earlier, we've got upcycled twist ties to organize the cords, and also some reused rubber bands. This is from Broccoli, I think. These ones are so durable and strong. I love these thick rubber bands. Double upcycle to keep all of our cords organized. Okay, you've seen my oldest upcycle. You've seen my proudest upcycle. Let me introduce you to my ugliest upcycle. We played D&D and we were playing one day and in the RV, we used to play when we lived in the RV digitally with friends. I'm like, it is so hard to roll dice in here. We have no table space to roll dice. We need a dice tower. But at this point we were like living in Minnesota. It took stuff forever to ship to us and I wanted a dice tower now. So I made one. It's literally just cardboard and packing tape. It's so ugly, but it works. It's totally free and this gets to stay out of the landfill. And you're like, but it's paper, isn't it recycled? Not when we lived in Minnesota. We had no paper or cardboard recycling in Minnesota. So yes, this would have ended up in the landfill in Minnesota. You know, here we have cardboard recycling. That jar is wet. Why is that jar wet? It has a cone inside. So yes, it still counts as upcycling. I've had these cones for 2 years. Am I gonna release a biohazard? Why is it wet? Like that's fully condensation in there. I think I have to keep it closed. I don't even know what cone this is. An Engelmann spruce. These are so far inland, I can't get a new one. Also more reused jars on the bookshelf for my embroidery floss, for my thread, for my rock collection. Reusing is still great. But over here, if you have any sort of plastic container, you can have plants. I know it's not the cutest, but Dan saw this piece of trash and thought of me. He was biking home one day from work and he saw this container and he's like, that's perfect for a plant. It didn't have a lid. So like, who else is gonna use a container without a lid? Me. I'm gonna use it for a plant. And look, this plant is thriving. It's a propagation too. So the plant was free, the pot was free. We just had to buy some dirt. Just looking great. This one also he found in the trash. Look how cute this one is. There's no drainage. And I'm pretty sure it's experiencing root rot, but like, look at, she's thriving. Even flowering. I didn't even know this plant flowered. I mean, it has to. That's an angiosperm. And there's at least 2 other species of volunteer plants in here that I don't know where they came from. Another great upcycle for plastic is plastic lids. They make great drip trays. Hummus containers, hummus lids are great for almost any sized pot. Totally free, keep it out of the landfill. We have lots of hummus lids lying around with our plants. And the rest of our plants, we got secondhand. The plants and the containers. So that's pretty cool. I've already talked about this, but another propagation, this one is in a ginger beer bottle. You can take the label off and make it cuter. Quite frankly, I don't care. It's also like tucked kind of in this corner window, so nobody really sees it anyway. And the purpose is the same. This is a really fun upcycle. It's kind of got a backstory. Right here, this piece of art. When we were interning at Washington State Parks over 2 years ago now, one of our last projects was creating this palisade fence for a museum. And we had a whole bunch of like small little stumps lying around once we were done cutting. These were all repurposed ponderosa pines. We just found like a whole stash of ponderosa pines in a barn and we're like, perfect, we don't even have to cut down trees. We already have the logs. And they were pretty small, so easy to manipulate and work with. Once we were done, I was like, hey Dan, can you cut me some rounds? They would make great craft pieces. So I've had this box of ponderosa pine rounds that we've been trucking across the country. So the Christmas we got back to Ohio after Washington, I made ornaments for everybody for Christmas with the smaller ones. And with these bigger pieces, I made some art. So the tree has other trees painted on it. I think that's supposed to be an oak. I'm not very good at painting. That's tulip poplar and that's a ginkgo. None of them are very morphologically accurate. And then the string is also upcycled, I think. And then it's just hot glued on. Very simple, very fun upcycle with a whole lot of backstory. This is another really old upcycle. I made this one in Japan. My paint cup. I talked about this recently. I don't remember which video it was in, but this is entirely trash. 100% trash and tape. You can see on the bottom where I taped it all together. I believe it's 2 or 3, 1, 2, yeah, it's 3 paper circles that used to hold tape. Painter's tape, masking tape, duct tape, whatever sort of tape it was. I gathered 3 of them, I taped them together with more tape, and then I painted it, and it's so beautiful, and it's held my paintbrushes now for at least 5 years, maybe 6. Love how this turned out. I think it looked so cute, and truly you can't even tell that it's made from trash. One last stop over here for a few more art pieces that I've made. Another wooden cutting board that I found in the trash. I found this again in Japan. Who would have anatomically correct United States cutting board? I don't know, but I said, that looks like a really fun DIY map. I had this map as a child that my mom had to like quiz me on 50 states. It's such a similar color scheme to this, so it's very nostalgic too, this color scheme. Love the pastels, love how bright it is. I hand painted this myself. Every border, there was no borders, it was just all wood. So I had to hand paint all of the borders, all of the states. The dots represent the capitals. I love this. In Vegas, it got super dry, so it's kind of cracked, but it hasn't cracked more since, so that's good news. And then this is also upcycled. We found this little tea towel, a garage sale, and they said, you can have that for free. I'm like, cool. It's got some charm, it's got some quirks to it. It's a 1965 calendar. It'll actually be an accurate reflection of the modern calendar here in a few years. If you didn't know, the calendar lines up precisely every few years. So one of these days, the 1965 calendar will line up with the accurate calendar of the modern day, and then I can actually use it as a calendar. The dowel is an old dowel that we reused from a previous project that we no longer have up. And then the yarn is just yarn I already have. So it was a totally free project. Dan got to mess around with the sewing machine. It was a lot of fun and totally upcycled. So that is a look into my upcycled home. Let us know what's in your upcycled home down below, and just remember to upcycle in general. Upcycle, reuse, repair, recycle. Do anything that you can think of before sending stuff to the landfill. And if you're like, your home is very interesting, I would love to see more of it, you can check out the full home tour in this video. And I have lots of similar videos like this where I just take you around my home, I show you all of my eco swaps, I show you the wasteful things that I do, and things like that, and you can find all of those videos down below. I love upcycling, I love that I can craft for free, I love that I can keep stuff out of the landfill, and I love that these things are unique to me. Nobody else has that same precise map of the United States. Nobody has those same precise rugs because they are made by me. I think it is so special to make stuff by hand, even if it's not the cutest, even if it's not totally perfect. That's part of it being made by a human, right? And being made by me, who's not a professional artist. The point is, it's fun, it saves money, it saves waste, saves the environment. And now I have really unique and special pieces with such memories tied behind them as well. Every time I look at these things, I get to think about, where did I find that material? Where was I when I made that piece? How many homes of mine has that been hung up in? And with my t-shirt rugs, when did I get that t-shirt? How old was I when I had that t-shirt? Where was I when I made the rug? Each one of these pieces is just so special and so unique. And so I hope that this inspires you to upcycle if you have never tried it before. Or if you're just in the mood for an upcycling project, hopefully it gives you some inspiration. Thank you for coming along. I hope that you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next video, but until then, remember that your small actions make a big difference in the long run. Bye guys.